Hello, hello, everyone. Ashley Pitzer here, and you are on Practicing Life podcast. Today, I have a guest, Alyssa, here. She is actually one of my former clients who I worked with in order to do a channeled card pulling. This client is particular special, and one of the reasons why I wanted to have her on is she is my only client that I kind of did an experimental channeled card reading where I took that channeled card reading and created a customized, personalized hypnosis track for it. And so it was a really, really beautiful experience. But after I did it, I kind of sat back and I was like, well, that was a lot of work and a lot of time. And I wasn't really sure I ever wanted to go back into that. And then it's just really been on my heart lately to open this back up to people. So I wanted to have Alyssa on here, even though it has been several months. She was the only person that got to have this special treat. And I wanted you guys all to kind of hear her side of the story, see what it was like for her, and see if this really even speaks to you or resonates with you, because you never know what is right for you. And many people have gone out and got tarot card readings, and that is not what I do. I'm so far from that. And so it can be kind of confusing sometimes to understand fully what it is that I offer. So Alyssa's here, and I'm so thankful that she agreed to do this and to make time to be on the show and to share with you guys whatever it is that's on her heart and mind. So thank you, Alyssa. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you for having me. It's such a treat, and I didn't realize I was the only person you experimented with, so I feel very special. So thank you, and thanks for
Oh,
inviting me to be on your show.
you're welcome. I did. It was something that I came up with, and I was like, oh, I was all excited about, and it was really easy actually to do it. It was just it took a lot of time, and so I put it out to the world, and I put it out there, based on a value system for me where I would make up for my time, but I never really promoted it or did anything with it or talked to any of my other clients. I just kind of like it's like buying a new outfit that you love and then putting it in the back of your closet and saying, I'll save this for a special occasion, and then you never use it.
Yes,
So here I
I've done
am.
that.
I'm pulling out this special card, and I'm asking you, and you're generously offering and receiving to kind of talk to everyone about this. So let's talk about, because when I'm gonna let the audience know, when Alyssa reached out to me, she had no idea about having a channeled, customized reading at all. She just came to me to do a channeled reading, and not necessarily the hypnosis. But that was one of the things that I just decided to offer her. She seemed very open and easy to work with, and I was like, all right, let's see if she'd be interested in being my guinea pig and experimenting. So if you want to jump in here and just kind of talk about, like, why you wanted to get a channeled reading, what it meant to you, how did you find me, go for it.
Yeah, so I remember when I was speaking with you, I was really up and open-minded to any possibility or receiving help in the state of mind that I was in at that time in my life last year. And I just felt like I wanted to receive guidance as far as which directions I should take my life, basically. There were a lot of big questions I was asking myself, especially dealing with career path and the road of entrepreneurship and business ownership. And there were many ups and downs I was experiencing, and delicately also trying to um, see where all of that fit in with the relationships in my life, and how my energy was being affected by situations and people and my own expectations of myself versus what I thought the world expected of me. So there were a lot of, I guess, clashing situations going on in my mind where I was getting so confused and overwhelmed, and I kind of lost my own voice and intuition. So that was at the point where I wanted to just post kind of anonymously in the coaching group and see um, if I could receive help. And then you reached out, and like you said, I'm glad I seemed open-minded to you about receiving help, because then that led us to this experimentation kind of coaching that you had me experience with you, which was a blessing. So I felt like I it was the right thing just to follow your lead and to receive maybe a kind of help that I've never received in the past, but always was kind of interested in the concept of a channeled reading or a spirit guide um, kind of session where I could tap into like the higher guides in my life, or the angels, if you will, and see what that's all about, because I'm very open-minded to a lot of possibilities and realities in life, that I was like, sure, like it didn't scare me necessarily, it really intrigued me. Well, maybe it scared me a little, but that fear that came up for me at first was, well, this is just something new. This is, something you've never done, but you're kind of at a point where you maybe should try new things to receive different perspective in ways that you never have before. So I felt in that moment, like I listened to myself and I was like, just go for it. This is the right thing. It feels good. It feels right. Just kind of see where it takes you. And I do that a lot in my life, where I just try and follow my bliss, if you will. And I end up making choices based on my own guided system and intuition. And I'm glad I did with you. So I received your help and your coaching call. And it's something that has affected me to this day, to this very day. So I
Well,
knew that there was something unique about it. And I'm really glad I followed my heart.
we'll dive into that too. So thank you for sharing all of that. And just so the audience knows, just in general, I mean, because the value and the time that it takes to do these channeled card readings, this isn't your $5 pull a card. This isn't your do 3 tarot card readings to get your past, present, and future, and you pay $20. So these channeled readings, what I will do is I will meet with the client, get a question for them, get a sense of their energy. The energy, it's everything is energy. And that's kind of what Alyssa was also leading us towards, is that she felt the energetic pull to do it, and everything is energy. So when I kind of meet with you, talk with you, get to know your energy, then I will kind of do my crystal setups, get my all of my honoring stuff to the spirits going, and then I will reach out and ask, now that I've gotten my client's permission to talk to their guides, and I will sit and listen. And so a lot of auditorial things come to me, sometimes images come to me. And so I try to write down everything, record it, and then I will send an audio recording back to the client. And it can last anywhere from like 12 to 16 minutes. It's just depending on how many like messages I get. And it's a little bit different because it's not telling you, pinpointing what to do. And I think that's what is really confusing for a lot of people out there. I mean, they may come to me because they're looking for something certain during an uncertain time. And the questions can be over anything. They can be over, should I retire? Should I leave my husband? Should I take my kid to this particular doctor? I mean, the questions can be anything. I've had so many things come across. I've had clients, come to me with whether or not they should say yes to proposal. There's all of these things because our brain, just going into my hypnosis talk, our brain and our reptilian part of our brain is very habitual, and it likes predictable things. And so when you're faced with a question that opens you up to unpredictability, it can create an anxiety in your body, and that can spin your thoughts. And that anxiety can even be somewhat painful to a person. It just depends on your level. And so it's not uncommon for people to seek out other sources, whether that is praying, and praying is doing a very similar concept. It is reaching out to a spirit and asking for guidance. So anyway, people will reach out and do all of these things because we're all looking for the answers, and the answers are always within. The only difference is I kind of help you with what your guides are trying to get through to you that you may not be seeing. But guides don't just go A, B, C, D, here's your list. They don't speak in the same language we do. So Alyssa can talk about that from her own experience, because there are a lot of kind of coaching and discussions back and forth of like, hey, what does this actually mean? And we want something to mean something so specific. What pops up into our mind, and a lot of things are, I won't say vague or general, but they mean multiple things. So I felt like that was a long spiel.
No, it was really good explanation for people to better understand what it is you did exactly. So am I explaining then my experience with the messages you received that you shared with me?
Yeah, so let's talk about like, so once you met with me, we'll go from here. So we met, we kind of went over the questions. I pulled some cards really quickly and I took it into my meditation state, got some answers, made a recording, and I came back to you. So just as a side note from everybody listening, from that, I mean, I sent her recording, but then I took that recording and created a customized hypnosis, and we let later. So let's go to Alyssa at this point. You get this recorded, you know, 15, we'll say 15. I don't know what yours was specifically because it's been several months.
Yeah, I think
You
it was
get,
about that. About
okay, you get this 15-minute recording. Like, what are your thoughts? What's going through your mind? What do you remember?
um, I remember it being so spot on to everything that I was experiencing, the questions I was having in my mind about life in general, and um, and directions that I wanted to go, or maybe I just, it was overall very, I guess the best word would be accurate, because there was a piece of me that was like, well, like I believed in the ability to speak with higher spirits or to receive messages. But then there's a part of me that's like, well, is it really legitimate? And is
Mhm.
this really something that is true for me? Or are there going to be overgeneralizations made that, can apply to many people, and it just so happens to apply to me too? And, but it was very specific and very much, I feel, speaking directly to me, which I now realize is exactly what happened. And I felt like almost frozen after I listened to it, because I was like, this is super crazy that some of the phrases that I would say to myself in my mind were spoken verbatim to me in the
Oh, I didn't know
recording.
that.
Yeah, like one thing that stood out to me um, that I still think about to this day. I mean, many things about that session, but one thing that really made it real for me was during this time of unrest in my heart and my body and my spirit, during that time of stress and I guess, yeah, unrest is the best way to put it. I felt so alone. I felt like nobody understood what I was going through. Nobody understood all of the roles I was trying to play perfectly in my life. Um, the internal battles I was having with myself, um, days of just feeling completely sick to my stomach, nights of no sleep. I felt like, no one understood the internal storm going on in my mind and my body. And I was like, I just feel so alone and so misunderstood by my peers and family and the world. And one of the sentences that was repeated back to me by you, through my guides was, you tell yourself stories. These stories are not true. The story that you tell yourself you're alone and by yourself is just a story and it's not true. You are, and I believe that's exactly how it went down. And then you said, or they said, you're, we want you to know that you are loved and we are with you and you're not alone. And there are many people on your side and beings on your side and you're supported. And that just made me feel so loved in the moment. And I felt like a presence of love and support around me that I just needed to be reminded of, because um, that place to be afraid and scared and unsure and confused and alone on top of all of that is a really dark and sad, lonely place. And to know that that wasn't actually the case, I was just getting kind of, in my mind, and my energy would
Mhm.
just constantly go more and more negative down the rabbit hole. And to some extent, it was completely my own fault, because once I got into that mindset of I'm alone, I'm a victim, I'm all these things, it just got worse and worse and worse. So I needed that bit of a pull from the hole to say, you're not alone, wake up, you're loved, you're supported. So that was really eye-opening for me. And from that day on, I felt like, okay, I'm not alone. I can do this. I have all of the support around me that I need, even if it's not a human being. It's, God and my spirit, my guides. And that I just felt that reminder wake me up. And like, like you were saying too, I was kind of hoping for a black and white answer. Um, Go this direction, choose that path. And
Mhm.
I didn't receive that, but I understand why, because at the end of the day, we still have our own free will and our own ability to make whatever choices we're going to make. But I was able to see kind of a bird's eye view of everything going on in my life and my internal state, where my energy state was, that it was kind of like I was peering in from an outside view, and it was all laid out for me, like, this is what's going on, this is where your energy is, this is where your thoughts tend to go. And then I was asked certain questions like, how is that serving you? Or just seeing this from a higher perspective, um, in what ways do you think is the best way for you to go? Like, it was always brought back to, where should I go based on my own decision, now that I have all this information about where my life is at and where I am energetically. So that was eye opening, and it was empowering too, because I was like, okay, yeah, I am still the one in charge. Like, I'm not being told you have to do this or this. It was like, hey, like, this is what's going on, almost like I came out of a dream state, and I was watching a movie. This is what's happening in your life. And who is this serving? What is it serving? Just to ask those bigger questions helped me to come to certain conclusions on my own.
Yeah, one of the life lessons I've had to learn, and I try to teach anybody that works with me, only because I've gone through this rabbit hole already, is that I mean, your guides can make decisions for you, but it's really not in our best interest for them, because that we are here to learn our life lessons. And so they can see all of time and space and every dimension, right? Whatever they are, whatever level of hierarchy they are, they can see. And so I used to turn all of my authority over to my guides, like, well, what do you want me to do? And I think we even talked about this, maybe it's just popping up in my mind right now, but um, your guides will say, oh, you want this in your life? I'm going to toss you in the middle of the ocean. And you may not ready to be in the middle of the ocean. Like, you may be more comfortable where the sand is and you can still touch, and so it's not that your guides can't tell you what to do. It's just that, one, you may not be ready for it, you may not be open for it. Two, it may be too much. Three, you're here to learn your lessons. And so if that means you need to take more steps before you get to the other side of the ocean, to get to your dreams, to get to the things that are on your heart and what you're really here for, then that's fine. And so, but I do find, like, when I talk to my clients afterwards and when they get their recording, they do generally feel like a sense of peace or love or joy, like there's some type of, you know, resolution that comforts them despite not, like, people want a yes or no answer. Like, should I marry this person? Yes or no. And then I give them a 10-minute recording about what may happen if they go down this road. And but they're still able to get their answers. It's
Mhm.
just in a different way. So, but the way you feel matters so much. And so just, reinforcing what Alyssa's already said, what clients have said to me, just that feeling of knowing a little bit more can open up so much. And just to know that you are supported is super big because you are. And if I remember correctly, by the way, I got chills when you were telling me that story. If I remember correctly, you had a situation where you were getting multiple digits all the time, like
Oh, yes.
1111 or 202 or whatever, 222, like whatever time it was. And anyway, those are little things like when your guides are like constantly telling you, like, I mean, I have to coach myself all the time. So I'm always vulnerable and honest with where I am with stuff. But like there'll be times when even my thoughts start to go down to something negative. Like I'm planning a book lunch party, and there's like times where I'm like, I'm just done with this. I'm just gonna give up. I'm just gonna have friends over my house and blah blah blah. And I'll get into this like negative thought, and then I'll remember, "Oh, I am a powerful being. I am a cosmic powerful being. I have everything on my side." And then I'll look at my phone and it will be like 8:08. And I'm like, "Ah, you are so good to me." Like, you know what I mean? Like, so
Yes, yes.
yeah, they're always trying to get through to you and tell you things and show you things. And yeah,
Yeah.
just
And there's one thing I want to say too. It's so funny because the numbers, the repeating numbers,
mhm,
um, was something that was happening at the time, for me, that I was seeing multiple times a day, and it's something that I still see daily.
mhm.
Like now, it is a lot more frequent. It's
Oh,
very strange.
okay.
It's like I will the moment I step outside, like I see something that is a repeating number, and it's from 1 to 9. I see all these repeating numbers, either 3 in a row or 4 in a row. Sometimes I think it's extra credit if it's 5 or more in a row, but I'm like, wow, like I'm really in the right spot right now. um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that was happening at the time. And then I got frustrated because I knew it was something that was being communicated to me from a higher realm of either, a sense of comfort for me. When I saw that it was like a sense of comfort, and I would look up, okay, what does 333 mean? What does 555 mean? And then the common theme of these numbers that I would see all the time, and threes and fours were most of the time for me, was like change is coming. There's, you're supported, and watch out for big change happening soon. And I'm like, where is this change coming from? Like, it's been so long, in my mind, it's been forever. And I'm like, started to get frustrated. I'm like, well, if you want to send me numbers, then send me something in my life that's going to show me what the numbers mean. Like, I was getting mad.
Yeah.
But then through all of that, of course, I learned patience. And one of the things that you said, that was communicated to me in the recording, was that I was going to receive a gift. And for
Yeah.
the longest time, I was trying to think, in human terms, what this gift meant. And I think the following week, someone gave me a book.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
that's right. Because
and I was like, maybe this is the gift. Like I was overthinking everything I was receiving, like, is this the
yeah.
gift? Is this the big breakthrough? Um, and then every time I received something of some sort, I would think, okay, maybe like this is a gift they were talking about. Or and then you were telling me, oh, it could be a realization, this gift. It doesn't
Mm.
have to be something 3D and material. So I was then open-minded to like a shift in consciousness, or, I knew that I was coming into a new identity. I was being reborn. That was also a common
Yeah, that was, I
word that was
remember.
used in my recording too. I'm going through a time of rebirth and renewal. So I was like, okay, then the gift is the rebirth. And so all these, thoughts in my mind. And then um uh what I think has really catapulted this rebirth, or has not necessarily concluded it, but this almost the light at the end of the tunnel, was me buying a house with my husband. And you messaged me. So at the
Mhm.
time that with the week leading up to moving, and then moving into the new house, now I'm in a new neighborhood, new area of town. These repeating numbers are showing up like constantly,
Oh,
at
wow.
like up to 10 times a day, constant. And I'm like, okay, like it's just more affirmation for me that I'm in the right home and I'm in the right neighborhood. And, all of that, the numbers I think kept coming up for me so rapidly, because it was almost like, yes, like you're in the right spot. Like this is what we were talking about. Here are all the numbers to show you. And then
Yeah, I think your spirit guides get excited sometimes, like a little
I
enthusiastic.
know. And I'm like, whoa, like I just started my new commute to work and I see like 3 cars or 4 cars on my way to work with repeating numbers in their license plates. And then I get to work and I see the time is, 4:44 in the afternoon. I'm like, wow. So constantly. But then I was in my closet of my new home, going in to like change my shirt, and I get a notification from you on Messenger, and you said, "Hey, you came up in my mind today with the word gift. I believe you received the gift." And I
Yeah.
was standing in my closet in my new house, and I was like, chills. I was like, wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy. This
Well,
is
and
the gift, and I'm standing in it.
yeah, I mean, I think it's such when I'm going to backtrack for the audience and then share a little bit with you and the audience.
Yeah.
So, like when I was working with a coach and a mentor, and this was what the idea of me doing channeled readings was brought up, and I was like, no, 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 I can't. I'm not this, like I'm not this, and so I can't be that. Like
Mhm,
we all
mhm.
have these thoughts. I'm a
Oh
coach.
yeah.
We all have these thoughts. Even coaches have these thoughts. Okay. And so anyway, my coach is like, I just want you to open this up and try. And actually you were referred to me from somebody who I did a free like trial one from.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and yeah, I did. I mean, she got hers for free because I was like, I'm just not even sure if I'm good enough, right? The way our brain thinks. And so
Right.
anyway, I did hers. She referred me to you. But anyway, I remember getting coached. The whole point is this. So I opened myself up. I took 3 or 4 clients for free. I did a channeled reading with them, see how much time, energy it took, what I could handle, what I could muster. And then afterwards, I remember telling my mentor, I was like, I don't know if I can do this, because every time I do a channeled reading, it is almost like bubbles of their energy is now floating in my aura. And I'm like, it could be 2 weeks later and I could get a message for them. And I was like, how do I handle this? What do I do? Like, so even me, like I'm sitting here looking for guidance. Like, do I reach out to them? Do I, say, do you want another reading? Like, well, how am I doing this? Like, can I handle getting these little nudges all of the time? And so that just goes to boundaries and setting up what I wanted and setting up my expectations. Right. So all of that was set up and worked out. But like in the instance with you, it had been months since we talked. I mean, you had reached out to me, I think a few months ago, and you were like, hey, I might possibly want to do another reading, not sure, right? But then I was like, well, you'll know when you're ready. Like that's me. I'm like, you'll know when you're ready. Like come back to me
Yeah.
when you're ready. And so anyway, then a few more months pass and all of a sudden you like pop up into my mind. And like you said, I just got the word picture of you and the word gift. This is how my brain works. This is how my gift works. And so I work at when these gifts come up to me, reaching out to people, unless it's something really complicated, then I'm like, you might want another channel reading. And I don't always reach out in those cases because I just expect if they want one, they'll know, you know?
Mhm.
And so, but yours was like really simple. And I was like, oh, I'll reach out to you and let you know. And, so anyway, I was sitting there and I was in my car when this was happening. And I was thinking to myself, I don't know what the gift is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, even me, I'm like sitting in my car and waiting for my kid to come out of school. I get this like message. I text you and I'm sitting there like, I wonder what the gift is. I wonder if she'll tell me, like, 'cause I don't even know these things. And
Yeah.
I think, that's one of the other things I have to dispel for people is I'm not psychic. Like I can't see everything happening in your life. I just get messages, So a
Right.
lot of people think like, oh, you can read every thought I'm having, you can see my past, present, future. Not me. I mean, my gifts don't work that way. I can't speak to other people, but like you said, these things do happen for me. And yeah, that was one of my little nervousnesses of like, oh my gosh, learning to push people's energy kind of outside of my bubble so they're not always like I'm not carrying them around like an
Right. To
extra purse,
protect your
you
energy
know?
too.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me think. So have you done other card readings before?
No, I never had.
Okay.
Never. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you just got you may be disappointed when you go to somebody else. I don't know.
Oh, no, no. I mean, everything, like I said, was very accurate with what was going on in my life. And I believe the cards that you pulled for me, you shared with me verbally the name, what they were. And I remember you were very excited, and I forget what they were. But you were like, oh my gosh, you got this and this. And you're like, there's some radical changes going on in your life right now. And then one of them was a card that I had reached out to you about several months ago saying, hey, was this a card that that you pulled for me? Because I'm feeling like there's something going on in my life that I think is relating to this card. And you were like, yes, that was. So I feel like even after this session, like it just continued to be relevant in my life with every unfolding event that happened. And the gift teaching or the gift realization that I was being told about was, I like to believe, not just one major thing, like here's your gift. It was many, many gifts along the way of small and large material and psychological, emotional that I received that, so the gift of my home is a wonderful blessing, and I think probably the biggest one. But I, like you said, have received many gifts along the way too, and know that they continue to come. So I am grateful that the guides like to gift to me.
Yeah. Well, and what's really great, right? This is me coaching because I can't even help myself. Like, so when you have the appreciation and that gratitude, you just reinforce it. Like you're telling your guides, you're telling the energy out there, I like this. And
Yeah.
they want to reciprocate it, especially when they see it makes you like you put attention towards it.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm very aware too of that now. I feel like I have a better just perspective or awareness and presence with myself and my energy.
Yeah, I can tell a difference. So just for the
Oh, good.
audience, we haven't seen each other since I did the hypnosis. We've had a couple of texts here and there. I mean, it's probably been a year. I don't even know when we first met. I don't even know. But I can tell. I can tell a difference. I mean, I first thing before we even started recording, I was like, "Oh, you got a haircut." Like I could tell immediately. It's not just that she had an haircut. The identity was different. I mean, and so the way that she's showing up and shining is different. And that's super cool. So I'm really happy to
Oh,
see
thank
that.
you. I'm glad
So
it's noticeable.
yeah, let's
I
talk
feel
about
it.
you feel it.
Yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Let's talk about like the hypnosis since you're the only person that got to have a
Oh,
channeled
yeah.
hypnosis.
Mhm.
So just as I took her channeled reading and then I compiled it in because I had this idea, maybe it was even a message from my spirit guides to do this, to take the channeled readings, because honestly, at the time, what I was understanding was that this is what people needed the most,
Mhm.
because it speaks right to your heart, like right to your soul. And
Mhm.
your subconscious is where all of your patterns and your identity and your behavior come from. And so people want to have a better life. They want to experience more happiness, and they can't always bridge the gap between the happiness of where they want to be and where they are, because they have a, this is hypnosis talk, right? They have all of this programming, all of these patterns that they were taught from when they were born until about the age of 6 to 8. And these patterns keep running unattainably in your head because they're subconscious. Like, you're not conscious of them, they're subconscious. And so I just was like, oh my gosh, this would help so many people if I took the messages that they're getting, which is really soul based, and created a hypnosis, audio recording that went right into their subconscious and helped them right where they needed to be. And so you were my first, my only, to do this. And so let's
I'm
hear
so
it.
honored. My experience of it was that, well, I have tried, or I've done many, I've had many hypnosis sessions, where I actually had one in person with somebody for a few sessions. And then I've just done a lot of like ones that I've found online. I've done a lot from, uh, oh my gosh, Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Okay.
And so they were either way too long, too short. They weren't necessarily like relating to me. So I would feel like I would lose focus if something was said that didn't resonate with me. And then yeah, so I've tried several, and I was never fully like satisfied, I guess, with one guided hypnosis where I was like, this is it, I'm sticking to it. I'm going to do this for 30 or 60 or 90 days and see what happens. Like, I would always fall off the wagon because I was not feeling it 100%. Um,
Did
and
you
I don't,
get into trance though? Are you somebody who easily gets into trance, or
um, I feel
just
like I am, yes.
okay?
Um, Definitely in the morning is better.
Yeah.
So maybe it was a time of day, like I was still trying to figure out what worked best for me personally,
Mhm.
as far as when my mind was most primed for it. And now I realize that it's the morning time, or if I'm very sleepy at night, of course, my brain is slowing down. But yeah, I am able to get into trance. Um, I just think that maybe I'm not practiced enough in it either, where I can stay in that for an extended amount of time until like a thought will pop up, or I'll
Yeah.
kind of come out of it real quick and then I get distracted and then my thoughts snowball. So I do need more practice with that, but I felt like with the hypnosis you sent me, it was so personalized to me that you were literally talking to me, but I could feel it penetrating to a deeper subconscious level, if that makes sense. So it was really, because it was personalized to me and what I was experiencing in my energy in my life at the time. And even still, like, it resonates with me. Like, some of those major, or some of those identity changes that I needed to start to undergo, that I still am undergoing, will help support me even further. So it's something I can still use, that's still relevant to me, even though I have had many changes in myself along this whole journey. But it just really kind of like grabbed my focus, and I was able to almost feel like it was more legitimate because it was made specifically for me. It was so personalized to the messages I received, to the energy that you could read from me, and it was curated so well into a hypnosis recording that wasn't too long, wasn't too short. It was perfect timing, where I was like, okay, this is doable. That I can sit down and actually do this daily and make this a daily practice. And yeah, I felt like because it spoke to me and it was literally made for me, that I was like more committed to it because I knew it was speaking to me. It wasn't like a general hypnosis recording that I found from somebody that, would work for most people. That I felt like it was really,
Yeah.
there was more to it than just a general kind of
Yeah.
recording.
So where do you feel like, because you said like even now you feel like that this whole experience is continuing to work on your life. So do you want to expand on that? Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so some of the things that the hypnosis helped me with was, or that in general, I knew I needed to make some shifts in my identity and the way that I would talk to myself and think about myself. Lot of negative self-talk and just self-demeaning thoughts that have really put me down, and I will stop myself from being 100% authentic, or the light that I know I need to bring to the world because of just self-limiting beliefs and thoughts. And we all have them to one degree or another, but I think that
Yeah.
I've unfortunately kind of let them stall me for um, what was a long time, until I did receive the gift of identity shift and change and rebirth, where the hypnosis recording would give me positive affirmations that I would repeat and I would listen to, and it would prime my mind in the early hours of the morning where I felt set up for success for the rest of my day, to know and to hear that truth being spoken to me from my guides and from higher consciousness, that I was like, that is the truth. This is really who I am. And it's not what those negative thoughts are. It's not those
Yeah, that's
that
right.
negative voice in my mind. Yeah. I'm like, yeah,
I'm cheering you on right now. I can hardly stay quiet.
exactly. Because when you wake up and the first thing so many of us do is just get sucked into the world, and really establishing that morning practice and giving myself the time to almost reestablish and make new my identity every morning and say, this is who I'm choosing to be. And the thoughts I'm not going to listen to, I'm going to listen to these. And to know that that's the truth coming to me, sets me up, like I said, for success for the rest of the day. And it carries on. And then I feel like it carries over almost into the next day. And then the next morning, I do it all over again. And then it's like 10 times more powerful the next day. And then the next day, it builds on that. So that's something that, as I'm having these identity changes and these shifts in, being more conscious of my thoughts and what thoughts and self-talk are serving me and which are not, um, it's just kind of helping now to maintain that mindset and to continue deeper into a new identity, as time goes on. So it helped
Yeah.
me kind of snap out of that old self into the new self, and then now it's like a maintenance thing where I'm practicing the new affirmations that I'm hearing in the recording, and is helping me stay in this new person and not slip back into that negative space.
It does sound like what it did was anchor you in this identity that's really truer to you, your higher self. And then now, I mean, I can tell. So for the audience out there, I mean, not only does Alyssa seem more confident and happy and glowing, but I mean, you just seem like right, if that makes sense. I
Oh,
don't know.
thank
That
you.
sounds like I don't like to say that because it's like, well, we were wrong before, but
Before you were like, this girl is not right, but now I no, I
yeah,
100%
see.
agree with that. Even if you did say
I don't mean it in like this
no, I know.
disparity matter.
I
So
didn't
I didn't
feel
want to
right.
say it.
Now I do. Yeah.
Maybe the word is more aligned. How about
Yes,
that?
yes. No, that's yeah, that is a better word, but I 100% know. Yeah, I'm like, I'm fine with that. That's accurate, so I can't argue.
And I'm glad that it's still serving you today because like sometimes even in my own life when I get a message or an image, I can get it 3 to 4 years in advance before it actually shows up. And so like, and even in my own life, I experienced this like you were with your gift. Is this my gift? Is this it? You're like,
Right.
like when I have this vision that was given to me of me being on a stage. So every time I'm like on a stage, I'm like, is this it? Or I get an invitation. I'm like, is this the one? Like, but
Yeah.
it's still coming. Like, that's just it. And so there are times, and I like to be, I'm a very genuine, authentic, upfront person. So I'm going to tell you whatever it is that I think is true and right. And so
Yeah.
like there's times when like for instance, I've gotten a card reading, and I remember this is a long time ago, and I hadn't even had kids, and I remember the person reading a card to me doing psychic messaging was like, hey, you're going to have two boys. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I ended up having two girls. And so like I always like look back on that. I'm like, well, there's so many things that are really hard to read, but um I think about when people get these messages, like how accurate are they? How much they show up? And there are times like when I'll tell somebody something and they're like, well, I don't have like I remember I was talking to a client, and um I believe that in the future her son is going to get married and she's going to have a daughter-in-law. And I'm like describing this woman to her that I see in this image. And she's like, well, I don't have a daughter and I don't have a daughter-in-law. I'm like, okay. That doesn't mean in like 7 years from now you won't,
Right.
because I
Yeah.
can see her, So, but I don't
Yeah.
like, the thing is I get like a picture, so I don't get emotions and I don't get a whole story, and so there's so many things that are left to wait and see.
Hmm.
That's the best thing you can see, wait and see. So, it doesn't surprise me. And I've had many people contact me as like a frequently asked question that I get. They'll ask like, when does their channeled reading like expire? When is it like stop working? And I was like, dude, my channeled messages can go for a long time. That doesn't mean you won't get more messages or new messages if you meet with me. But some things come to fruition really quickly, and some things take time to weave into the patterns of the universe to show up in your life. And
Hmm.
so, yeah. So I'm glad
Yeah.
that here it is like a year later and you're still receiving benefit from this.
Right. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I think that the recording of the hypnosis is probably different. Well, I know it's different for everybody, but I do feel like the best part of it is that you can, even if you do completely transform into a different person or into, all of the affirmations that the recording um, says to the person that they should practice, once they're there, like I said, it can be used to supplement and to continue becoming that identity and be more ingrained in that new identity, more of like a daily practice. Once you're in shape, you don't stop working out completely, you continue and
Mhm.
maintain. And so it's the same thing. And um, you know I think that is what is so valuable with what you do. And I think it's a genius idea, by the way, to create a hypnosis personalized to somebody based on the truths that you received from their spirit guides. Like that's like the ultimate healing tool, is to give
Yeah.
somebody that gift, because it is so personalized to them, that it can be used for a very long time. And I think it will help ingrain, all of the messages more deeply into that person's awareness, and will just continue to help them many months down the line and possibly years, quite more, or probably definitely for
Yeah.
years. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's very helpful for the long term too.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that you're glad that you did it.
Yes. 100%. Yes, I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
I have it saved on my phone and I can turn to it anytime. It's just one of my go-to like self-healing tools. And I just, number one, love getting relaxed and in that state of um hypnosis. Or even if, I'm having an off day and I'm able to do is just get into a very deep relaxed state. That's enough for me. And to, even if I'm not in the mood or, and I decide to listen to it anyway, I always leave feeling so much better than when I sat down to do it. So that in
Yeah.
itself is a really just testimony to um, how helpful it is, and it can be for everyone who wants to try it and reach out to
Yay.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very helpful, and it's one of my go-to um, pick me ups.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for being on the podcast. And just for anybody listening, my schedule is completely booked up as we are recording now, but this should drop in May. And probably by July, I should open up my schedule,
Oh, okay.
maybe for like one or two of these, because they do take some time.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I can
yeah,
imagine. Yeah, you did spend a good amount of time with me, and I am really glad that you did because I am a business owner too. So I feel like some of the things that you end up doing for people take way longer than you anticipated. And you're like, oh gosh, like I need to rethink this.
yeah,
But I think we're revisiting this topic for a reason. And I encourage people to get on your waiting list if you have one for
yeah, you'll
early
have to get,
June. Yeah. So, or maybe there's like a way that you can kind of like do a questionnaire on people who reach out to do this session, because it is time consuming for you, to
Mhm.
make sure you're doing it with people who are really ready.
Yeah.
Or who are
The
100%
price
there
of
in that
it
space.
really like makes people ready.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah.
'Cause yeah, it's a commitment. So
It is a commitment. And I will say that like even when I do just my regular channels, which I took that away for a period of time because I got so busy, so I was only seeing my repeat clients. Um so many people will reach out interested. But I mean, that's where you can tell like the difference between somebody who really wants something and somebody who doesn't, because
mhm,
the people that are just interested, they'll drop off.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's what's meant to be. So,
Yeah. Mhm.
um, yeah,
Yeah. You can't
but
get to the real ones without kind of weeding through some of the the other people.
yeah. So did you have a career change too? Or are you doing the same thing?
No, I am still I'm a well, I was a full-time nurse. I am still a nurse. I decreased my schedule with that just a little bit. I'm not quite part-time or full-time. I'm like in the middle. So I'm still nursing, and I am a photographer. So that's my business, is photography. So I do fine art
Yay.
portraits and landscape photography.
That's super exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, it is exciting. It's been such a, oh my gosh. I can talk for hours about the ups and downs of business ownership and entrepreneurship, but
I hear
I'm
you.
still here. And after everything I've experienced, I'm still here and going strong. And yeah, I'm doing a lot of reordering of things, and I kind of did like a big self audit too when I moved, and what is really serving me, what's working, what's not, where is my heart, what is my intuition telling me. So based on those answers that I received from myself, I kind of am in the same career path and doing the same thing, but going about it a little bit differently. Um,
Yeah.
and diving into like different, uh, subcategories of business ownership, such as starting a blog and like just showing up more authentically in the world, that I've wanted to do for a long time, and let those negative self-talk and thoughts get in the way of it. So I've always just been, yeah, I'm now breaking through that.
I know. It does seem like you are just emerging into greater things, and I love that. So I'm so
Thank you.
happy for you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Oh, and it's funny, real quick, can I
Okay.
say something?
Yeah.
When I started my blog a couple days ago, I have one blog on there right now, or one post. But one of the things you told me in my recording was your throat vibrates with the will to speak, but you keep your lips sealed. And
Oh,
I knew that I have many things I want to share with the world, many many passions that I love talking about, love writing about. I've always loved writing. And I would get these like little spurts of like, yeah, write about that and share that. Okay, now go like run away and like hope no one says anything bad about it. And then here, do it again. And it's like only when I was feeling really daring when I write something and post it. But now I'm like, you know what? That is so true. And that's something that has resonated with me to this day too, because I actually shared that sentence in my blog
Aw.
post about why I want to start a blog. And I'm finally like breaking that seal of my lips into letting myself speak and write and share. And that feels really good because I feel like I'm being
Oh,
myself. So
I'm so
thank you.
happy. I'm so
Yeah.
joyed.
I was
I
like,
could
the
cry. I'm so
words are
happy.
still, they're still with me.
Well,
Yeah.
good. I'm so glad to hear that. And I am grateful for you coming into my life. I'm grateful for you
Oh,
being on
thank
this
you.
podcast and being willing to open up and share, because I will tell everybody listening, if you ever get a channel card reading with me, I tell everyone up front, it is very intimate. Like I'm getting in your energy. I may not be getting into your
Yeah.
mind, but I'm getting into your energy, and that is very intimate, and
Mhm.
it's an intimate exchange. It really is. And so I wanted to make sure that I honored Alyssa and made sure that we kept things high level. And I'm just appreciative that she went ahead and came in here and shared these things, because most people don't want to come forward with all of the stuff that they're experiencing. So
Mhm.
I really do appreciate you. Look how
Thank
brave you
you.
are. Look at what
Oh,
you're
thank you.
growing. I'm just so happy. So
Thank you. I think this is just supporting, the growth that I've been going through um, and just a testimony too to a new sense of bravery and vulnerability that I'm excited to be in this space. So yeah, thank you for having me and just for the experience. And I'm grateful that you came into my life too. And I know everything happens for a reason, so it was meant to be.
all right. Well, thank you so much. We'll sign off here, guys, just because I know that there's many things going on in our world and our day. But if you are interested in doing a channeled reading with this customized hypnosis, stay tuned. That may come in July, at least a small little opening in my schedule. And I should say, do you want anybody to come to you for photography?
Of course, yes.
All right. So if that is
I
the case, I am going to get Alyssa's whatever she has, her blog, her website, whatever it is, we'll put it in the show notes, and you can look towards her and maybe reach out to her if she provides some type of social media contact to be able to work with her on photography. So she's a delight, very open, now super brave and just rocking it. So you would want to work with her.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you. I look
welcome.
forward to it.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Take care. You matter. And I will see you next week.